These sannas are soft, pillowy, and like walking on a cloud. And I'm excited because today we're going to be making the traditional sannas, sweet tea time sannas, and homemade toddy. Check this out. Hi, you're watching Plating It with Wendy, where I share with you recipes which impress with ease. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed already, click that subscribe button. And while you're there, if you hit on that bell icon, you'll get notified every time I upload a new video. Now, let's get started. For this recipe, we're going to go in with 2 cups of rice. I'm using idli rice, but if you can get your hands on Goa rice, that would be the best. I've soaked the rice in water overnight, and I'm going to wash it till the water runs clear. In the jar of our mixer, we're going to put the rice in. And to that, we're going to add 3 cups of finely grated fresh coconut. Now, when my grandma made sannas, they always had that lovely sweet flavor. So I'm going to go in with 2 tablespoons of sugar. And to that, we're going to add 1.5 cup of homemade toddy. And if you watch till the end, I'm going to be showing you how to make homemade toddy. Just going to pour that in. This gives that authentic flavor to the sannas. Now, to help it grind and become a nice smooth batter, we're going to go in with 3/4 cup of coconut water. And we can add more later if we need. We're just going to add 3/4 cup first. Now let's bring this together to a smooth paste. Now that we've got a nice smooth paste, after mixing it for about 4 to 5 minutes, gradually increasing the speed from 1 to 3, we're going to empty it into a container and we're going to allow it to ferment for about 3 to 4 hours. This is going to help the rice to soak up all the flavors and for the toddy to do its magic. And this is the consistency that we're looking for. And it should stick to the back of the spoon without running down. Just going to pour it into a container. Now we're going to cover this up. If you don't have a lid that fits on, you could always use a plastic wrap. For best fermentation results, I like to keep it in the oven without switching it on because it's nice and warm there. Now 4 hours later, we're going to open it up and we're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. Now gently, we're going to give it a mix. I've got a little oil in the bowl and we're just going to grease the containers that we are using. These containers are the size of 8.5 centimeters by 5.5 centimeters, just in case you wanted to know. And we're lightly going to brush the oil all around. This is going to help the sannas to release easier from the containers. If you want to make sannas but you don't have these containers at home, you could use a round cake pan or any heat-resistant container would work perfectly. Now I've got my steamer going on the stove and we're going to fill these bowls so that we can insert them in the steamer. So we're going to just fill them up. Now depending on how much you fill the container, you're going to steam it. We're going to fill it just shy of 3/4 full and we're going to steam it for 30 minutes. Perfect. And now that our steamer is ready, it's time to place the containers filled with the sanna batter into it. We're going to cover it with a kitchen towel and place the lid on the top. The kitchen towel is going to absorb all the water that evaporates inside the steamer, preventing it from falling back onto the sannas. Alternatively, you could cover each container up with an aluminum foil. We're going to allow the sannas to steam for approximately 25 to 30 minutes or until a toothpick inserted in it comes out clean. And now it's time to take the sannas out of the steamer and leave them aside to cool. Now we're going to allow these to cool before we unmold them. Sweet sannas are typically made as a tea time snack, but palm jaggery is not all that sweet, so I like to add in a little bit of cane jaggery to sweeten things up. We're going to grate about 3 tablespoons of the palm jaggery. And approximately 3 tablespoons of the cane jaggery. We're going to go in with about 3/4 cup of finely grated fresh coconut, and to that we're going to add the grated jaggery. And we're just going to mix it and bring it together. And there, our coconut jaggery filling is ready. Before filling in the next set of containers, you want to give it a stir so that you get it all mixed well together once again. For making the sweet sanna, we're going to go in with a cake tray. Once again, we're gently going to brush it with a little oil. We're going to fill the cake tray with batter, which is just less than half. We're gently going to sprinkle on the coconut jaggery mixture, keeping it more towards the center and avoiding the edges to prevent it from sticking to the cake pan. These could also be made in the small molds, but I made it in the cake pan just to show you that you could make sannas in a cake pan too. Now we're going to top this with some of the batter. Gently pouring it over. Now let's take it over to the stove and put it in the steamer. And once again, we're going to repeat the process and allow the sanna to steam for approximately 30 minutes or until a toothpick inserted in it comes out clean. And now that our sanna is all nice and steamed, we're going to take it out and leave it aside to cool. And here we go, we're going to make homemade toddy. And this is going to give our sannas that authentic Goan flavor. Now, let's get started. To make the toddy, we're going to go in with some active dry yeast. And to activate it, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar to warm water. The temperature of the water should be around 105 to 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Just going to stir this so that the sugar dissolves in the water. We're adding sugar in the water because the yeast needs to feed on the sugar to activate. And to that, we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of active dry yeast. We're going to give it a swirl so that it mixes with the sugar syrup. I'm going to cover it with a plastic wrap and keep it in a warm place for about 10 minutes to get activated. The yeast has sprouted up well, which means that it has activated well. Now to bring our toddy together, we're going to go in with 1 1/4 cup of coconut water. And I've used coconut water which I got in a Tetra pack. And now we're going to add in the activated yeast. I'm going to give it a good stir so that it all gets well blended together. To keep it to ferment, I like to keep it in a mason jar which has a loose lid. Okay, we're going to pour it into the mason jar now. We're going to put a muslin cloth over the mouth of the jar and we're going to use only the outer circle of the lid and cap it up. You don't want to cap the bottle up with the lid because it's going to burst. We're going to keep this away in a warm, dark place for approximately 24 hours so that it gets a chance to ferment and become into toddy. If you're in a crunch for time, 16 to 18 hours would also work as well. And here you go, our toddy is ready. I'm going to open it up. Wow, you can actually get that smell of toddy. If you want, you could also refrigerate this for about 2 to 3 days. But make sure it's at room temperature before you use it. Now let's go back to our sannas that have cooled. And as you can see, they're automatically pulling away from the sides of the container. We're going to use this offset spatula just to give it a little lift. And now we're going to unmold it. And there you have your sanna. And that's how soft and spongy the sanna is. To unmold our sweet sanna, we're going to just flip a plate over the top. Flip it over and give it a few shakes. And there you go, your sweet sanna in a cake tray. Oh my goodness, look at that. And now it's time to give the sannas a taste. I've already tasted the plain sannas when we made the sarpatel, and if you've missed that video, I'm going to leave the link in the description box below. And now we're going to go ahead and taste the sweet sanna. Wow. Can you see that texture? Simply beautiful. Wow, these sannas are absolutely delicious, and that addition of the cane jaggery really adds to the sweetness. You've got to give this recipe a try. And if you want the full written recipe, head on to my website, platingitwithwendy.com. Thanks for watching. See you soon.